I think one of the biggest brand differentiations you can drive is using technology and personalization, being relevant at the right stage of the journey.
This is Velocitize Talks, and I'm Andy North. Today I'm joined by Adam Good, Executive Director of Marketing and Technology for WPP Australia and New Zealand. Adam, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So what's going on with WPP Australia and New Zealand? Tell us some exciting things. It's a relatively new role for you, I understand, and I'm sure that's exciting.
Really loving it, actually. It's been it's a wonderful network, very large network, and the role Executive Director of Marketing Technology is to provide leadership to marketing tech across the group, predominantly with our creative agencies. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a big shift with our clients taking on some very large licensing tools with Salesforce, the Adobes, the Microsofts, the Oracles, and really we are putting a lot of attention on that from a strategic point of view and our client relationship, not just in delivery sense, but just ongoing lifetime value of those clients and their strategies with their customers. So keeping me very busy at the moment.
Give us a little bit of background on what drove you to where you are now and why technology. How did you get into technology and what keeps you passionate about it?
So I always loved the computer and I got onto the internet and bulletin boards very, very early. So it's always been part of my life. But when I left school, I wanted to be in film and television. I'm a qualified sound engineer by trade. I went to the Australian Film and Television School for short-term courses and classes and worked in the industry making movies and film clips, corporate videos, television series. But technology was always there. I built an online film directory in the early days to connect global audiences to the Australian film and television industry. And then I had an opportunity to go to Microsoft and learnt software and went to News Limited to learn publishing and then into advertising.
So you've obviously been working with a lot of your clients on their brand and particularly with some of these new technologies like voice that are coming out. How does a brand retain its brand image and brand voice through voice when you've got so many, I think 50% of the searches now are voice search?
There's two parts to that. I mean, the voice directing into your phone or to speakers, that's very conversational. And I think that is a really great place for a brand to be if you can build up that relationship with the customer through voice. It's very challenging at the moment because the technology is still very limited. The response back on many brands is like a small child and many times they get the answers wrong or they're not very helpful. But it's changing very, very quickly and really what I see voice as part of a marketing tech strategy is it drives you towards more automation. It drives you into that direction of how to use AI as part of your overall strategy. And then the output of that is more voice-driven solutions.
And to do that, I'm assuming there's a variety of technologies you would use, everything from machine learning to AI to chatbots, et cetera. Talk about some of the technologies that WPP is working with their clients on.
Just last week, we saw some real brand new innovations through Live Person, which I think is a great voice bot solution that's been around for some time that many clients are starting to use it as an end solution in that sphere. Messaging in general is increasing. Google, WhatsApp, Facebook have increased their capabilities to hook into their APIs into that audience through messaging and of course voice and bot work. We stay agnostic on the final decision because many times clients have made certain decisions as they head towards voice.
Given that you have to be agnostic, are there any technologies that you're excited about that you see perhaps changing the marketing landscape within 3 to 5 years or so?
Personally, I think Microsoft, although a very established technology company, I think they're doing some of the most interesting things in regards to the acquisition and how you use LinkedIn, how you use the Office suite as part of your collaboration. Every company is using Outlook and using spreadsheets. It's how that data then starts to go into a transformation agenda to output that into a client-faced solution. I think what we tend to do at creative agencies, we're always on the pointy end of trying something new. It's just in our nature to try the latest piece of tech, but we also have to temper that with being able to be the strategic partner with the ecosystem's foundations and where they are with their evolution at that point in time and the incremental improvements that we can drive on a daily basis.
You touched on personalization. That's been sort of a buzzword, obviously, in the marketing industry for a few years now. How do you see that continuing to evolve? We're in sort of the age of the Spotify, the Netflixes of the world, where within a vertical channel that's very personalized. But do you see it sort of expanding across channels?
Oh, definitely. I think personalization is something that consumers really like. They don't like it when it's a bit too creepy, but I think one of the biggest brand differentiations you can drive is using technology and personalization, being relevant at the right stage of the journey. If they have the information they require, or they don't have the information required, focus in on that conversation, and don't just suddenly push that you might need a survey for your marketing needs at the end of the month.
Do you feel that consumers are okay balancing getting a certain amount of ROI for letting a certain amount of their data be used, or is it still very much I want all my data private?
I don't think consumers really understand the complexities of personal data and what that means. I think companies have a real responsibility to make customers aware what data that they have and how they're going to use that. But every industry knows that that's really the way forward to bring efficiencies not only to the companies themselves but also to the customer. If you want to be able to give customers better service, better prices, better end products, then sharing and releasing data across a company and the individual is really important.
Would you say that there's also a generational divide? The younger consumers perhaps more willing to get that personalized experience for their data, whereas perhaps some of the older customers are a little more leery of sharing that data?
Yeah, I think anybody that has continuously seen the benefit of releasing their data and providing experiences for them, get quite comfortable with it. Older generation, I think they're very confused. I think they have always been in a generation where it was all about, you only tell people certain things about yourself, and certainly financial information and product preferences and so forth really become quite a closed conversation. But I think the discussion just needs to continue. I think the laws need to continue to evolve based on different technologies. And from a marketing point of view, it's really important to us to make aware that you're going to be sharing some data with this brand, and at any point in time that relationship needs to be very, very closed and a close relationship between the brand and the customer data.
Are you seeing somewhat of a reluctance to continue to invest on some of your clients because they feel like what we have now is good enough? Given that there's been some recent indicators of slowdown in spending in some of the macro elements, do you feel like that's more of a macroeconomic situation, or is it more specific to the marketing industry?
I think the marketing industry has certainly invested heavily in tools in the last 5 years. There was a time when we were doing digital transformation using custom content management tools and custom outbound email solutions, and using a tremendous amount of ad tech in media to get towards mobile apps and websites. But there's been a lot of consolidation. People have tossed out their last digital ecosystem and invested in a new SaaS service. And then they've delivered it, or they've got it to a point, and they're just wondering whether they're getting the ROI from it. And the license renewals keep coming around, and they need to balance between what they're paying or what they have paid and what the benefit can be. I think that is very, very common. I don't think I've met any clients that sort of say, I invested X amount of dollars and I'm completely happy with where I need to be. There's always this feeling that they could go further.
Let's drill down a little bit into some of the technology. With so many mobile technologies, with voice, with apps, et cetera, have we started to see the death of the website? Or is there still a place for it?
Certainly a place for the website today. I think will it die completely? I don't think it will die completely, but it is going to be reduced. I think there are websites that are quite bloated, and they're trying to do things in a website that are better delivered in other omni-channels. We probably still have, the majority of our work is still standing up website ecosystems, because that's the sort of still has been a bit of the center point of where the omni-channel kind of starts. Everything, you still need a website, you still need a triple W kind of address at the moment, so it'll be around a little while longer.
You have an interesting role in that you do a lot of both right brain and left brain work. You're being creative on some days, and you're also being very analytical with some of your clients on other days. You've also talked about how blogging and journaling helps focus your thoughts. Talk a little bit about how that creative exercise brings a business benefit for yourself.
Yeah, look, I mean, my blogging is sort of, I post a blog once a month. Been doing it for probably 12 years, and it's just been one of those habits that I've tried to drive. And then I've sort of learned about journaling. It's a good way to crystallize your thoughts and write them down and start telling some stories in that sort of short, sharp bursts. And every now and then I do read back 5 or 6 years and I can remember the time I was writing something and it was based on that technology at the time and that internet speed at the time or that browser at the time and it's quite interesting that how things evolve. So I get a lot out of putting pen to paper and through a blog, I think.
What is your blog address, if you don't mind?
Oh, it's adamgood.net.
Fantastic.
So thanks for the plug.
Well, one question we like to ask all our guests is there a book, a blog, or a podcast that you're reading or have recently read or listened to that you'd like to share with our viewers?
The one I've just finished is Exponential Organizations. Salim, his surname escapes me, but if you look up Exponential Organizations, that's a great reading in regards to research on how companies can be growing at that exponential rate. What are the traits? What are the behaviours that need to drive? I thought that was really good.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing.
No problem.
My guest today has been Adam Good with WPP Australia New Zealand. Adam, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah, have a great day.